Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where we dive deep into the untold stories of history's most influential figures. Today, we are talking about a man who became a symbol for African liberation, but whose life was cut short by betrayal and foreign influence. Patrice Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of Congo, a fierce anti-colonialist, a martyr whose death still echoes through Africa's struggle for true freedom. Born in the heart of Congo, Lumumba rose from humble beginnings to challenge empires. He fought for unity, independence, and an end to exploitation. But his vision threatened powerful interests, leading to one of the 20th century most infamous assassinations. We'll cover his entire life, his battles, the betrayals that sealed his fate, and the legacy he left behind. Stick around. This is a story of courage, conspiracy, and caution for our times. If you enjoy history like this, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Patrice Lumumba was born on the 2nd of July 1925 in the small village of Analua in the Sankuri district of Belgian Congo, what we now know as the Democratic Republic of the Congo. His birth name was Elias Okit Osombo, but he later adopted Patrice Lumumba to reflect his evolving identity, growing up under Belgian colonial rule. Lumumba experienced the harsh realities of exploitation firsthand. The Belgians controlled everything: land, resources, and education. Africans were treated as second-class citizens, forced into labor, and denied basic rights. Lumumba's family was from the Tetetela ethnic group, and he received a basic education at Protestant and Catholic missionary schools. He was bright, ambitious, and self-taught in many ways. By his teens, he moved to the city, working as a postal clerk in Stanleyville, now Kisangani, and later as a beer salesman in a Belgian company. These jobs exposed him to the inequalities of colonial society. Europeans lived in luxury, while Congolese suffered poverty and discrimination. In the 1950s, Lumumba's political consciousness exploded. He joined trade unions, wrote articles for local newspapers, and criticized colonial policies. He even founded a Liberal Party branch, but soon realized that true change required radical action. Inspired by pan-African ideas, he attended the All-African People's Conference in Accra, Ghana in 1958, hosted by Kwame Nkrumah. There he met other leaders fighting for colonialism, and it fueled his dream of a united, independent Africa. Back home, Lumumba co-founded the Mouvement National Congolese (MNC) in 1958. The first nationwide political party in Congo. Unlike tribal-based groups, the MNC pushed for national unity across ethnic lines. Lumumba's charisma and oratory skills made him a star, but his activism came at a cost. In 1959, he was arrested for inciting a riot during a rally and sentenced to 6 months in prison. Yet, even behind bars, his influence grew as pressure for independence mounted. Inspired by decolonization waves across Africa, Belgium reluctantly agreed to elections in 1960. Lumumba was released just in time to campaign. The MNC won a plurality of seats, and on 23rd of June 1960, Lumumba was appointed Prime Minister, with Joseph Kasavubu as President. Independence Day came on June 30th, 1960, a moment of triumph. Lumumba's famous speech that day set the tone for his battles, while Belgian King Baudouin praised colonialism as a civilizing mission. Lumumba fired back. We have known ironies, insults, blows that we endured morning, noon, and evening. He called out the atrocities: forced labor, land theft, and racism. It was a declaration of war on colonial remnants. What did Lumumba fight for? Above all, a unified Congo, free from foreign control. He opposed tribalism and secession, dreaming of a strong, socialist-leaning nation where resources benefited the people, not European mining companies. Congo was rich in uranium, copper, diamonds, but the wealth flowed to Belgium. Lumumba wanted to nationalize industries and build alliances with other African nations. He was a pan-Africanist at heart, believing Africa's future lay in unity against imperialism. Independence was chaotic. Just days after the army mutinied against Belgian officers, leading to violence, Then the mineral-rich provinces of Katanga and South Kasai seceded, backed by Belgium. Lumumba appealed to the United Nations for help to restore order, but the UN's response was slow and biased. They refused to use forces against secessionists. Frustrated, Lumumba turned to the Soviet Union for help, which alarmed the West during the Cold War. The US and Belgium saw him as a communist threat, though he was more of a nationalist. Lumumba's government lasted only months. Amid escalating crisis, President Kasavubu, a more moderate figure, clashed with him. On 5th of September 1960, Kasavubu dismissed Lumumba, but Parliament backed the Prime Minister, Joseph Desire Mobutu, a key player in the betrayal. Lumumba had appointed Mobutu, a former journalist and ally, as Chief of Staff of the army, but Mobutu was influenced by Western powers and he turned against him. On the 14th of September 1960, Mobutu launched a coup with CIA and Belgian support, neutralizing both Lumumba and Kasavubu temporarily. Lumumba was placed under house arrest, guarded by UN troops who protected him from mobs, but also prevented his escape. This was the first major betrayal. Mobutu, once Lumumba's trusted aide, sided with foreign powers to protect mining profits and counter perceived Soviet influence. The US, under President Eisenhower, authorized CIA plots to assassinate Lumumba, viewing him as another Castro. Belgium, desperate to retain economic control, funded secessionists like Moise Tshombe in Katanga. The UN Under Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld failed to intervene decisively, effectively allowing the chaos to unfold. Lumumba's fight wasn't just against colonizers, it was against division sown by them. In late November 1960, Lumumba escaped house arrest and tried to reach his supporters in Stanleyville, but on 1st of December he was captured by Mobutu's force. Tortured and beaten, he was held in a military camp. The betrayers piled up. Kasavubu legitimized the coup. Mobutu orchestrated the capture, and Western powers pulled strings behind the scene. On 17th of January 1961, Lumumba and two aides were flown to Katanga, handed over to Tshombe's separatist regime. Belgian officers were present as Lumumba was tortured one last time, beaten, shot, and his body dissolved in acid to hide the evidence. He was just 35. The official story claimed he was killed by villagers, but the classified documents revealed Belgian direct involvement, US approval, UN complicity, and CIA actions. Lumumba's last letter to his wife was heartbreaking. History will one day have its say. Africa will write its own history. Lumumba's death plunged Congo into decades of turmoil under Mobutu's kleptocracy, but his legacy endures as a symbol of resistance. Streets, universities, and even Russia's Patrice Lumumba University bear his name. In 2022, Belgium returned one tooth as the only remain of Patrice Emery Lumumba. His story reminds us, true independence requires vigilance against betrayal. Patrice Emery Lumumba, the man that fought for the freedom of the Congolese people. He was beaten, he was killed, his body dissolved in sulfuric acid to hide the evidence, and one of his tooths taken back to Belgium as a trophy. These are the stories. This is a real story of a man in Africa that fought for the freedom of its people, but was killed by Westerners, the CIA, the US, and all other foreign interests, especially the Belgians. One day, Africa will rise, will be rich in its resources, and will be a world power. Thanks for watching. What do you think? Was Lumumba's vision possible? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.